Well, good afternoon, sports fans. This is the latest test of my ProTrack antenna. The plan today is to head out to the south again, and I'm going to be using the reset button to stop the array from auto-rotating when it loses the signal. I'm going to fly a little bit higher, probably up around 500 meters, and I'm actually going to reduce the angle of the antennas down below the 20 degrees that Tommy recommended. As before, I'll be using the tek-sumo, which is still flying and still in my possession, which is unusual. It's an absolutely glorious day in Canberra. Blue skies, and the winds are light and coming from the south, which is the direction I'll be heading out in. So I'll have it behind me on the way back, and which may give me a little bit of extra distance. This is the on-screen display that I'm looking at. We've got altitude on the right, speed on the left, and distance home on the bottom. And in the middle of the screen there's a sort of pseudo radar display which gives me the attitude and direction from home of the plane and an arrow on how to get home. So we're at 1 kilometre here. Everything's good. The picture's nice and clear. The plane's behaving itself. Coming up on 3 kilometres here and everything's still fine. Plane flying nice and easy. Coming up on 4 kilometres here, and I start to get a little bit of break up of the video. I actually start looking around for the reset button on the antenna, and in the process drift a bit to the right, and I seem to fly back into the beam of the antenna, and it comes good, so I don't use the reset button. I just bring the plane back on course and don't lose the signal. So I'm just passing 5 kilometres here and starting to experience a bit of break up again. Dropping in and out. I try steering right, which helped last time, but it doesn't seem to have any effect on this occasion. So I bring it back. And at this point the array starts to rotate, so I reach up and manage to push the reset button, and I start rotating it around manually, and decide I'll hit the return to home switch while I'm doing this. So the picture seems to come good, so I turn around and to resume the course, and it immediately goes bad again. So I start messing with the antenna again, and in the process of that I notice now that I'm drifting west, which is taking me in behind the mountain and probably making the problem worse. I eventually hit the return to home switch again because I'm having trouble doing two things at once, and I can now focus on trying to line the antenna up, which takes quite a while. I didn't really notice at the time, but now looking at the video I can see I'm a lot further west than I normally am, and I'm probably in behind the shadow of the mountain there. But it eventually starts to come good as I fly around the side of it, and the picture does come back. So once the picture comes good, I take it out of return to home and turn around and start heading back south again. picture gets a little bit fuzzy just after the turn, but it settles down pretty quickly and comes good again. So I've lost about a kilometre and a bit after that little escapade, so we're back here at 4.5k. Picture's reasonable. I've left the antenna array in manual, so I'm not having to mess with the antenna at this point. So just passing 5 kilometres again, and the picture's nice and solid. There's just a little bit of occasional fuzziness, but nothing too bad. So just passing 6. Signal still seems pretty good. The battery's getting down close to 11 volts, which is normally where I'd turn around, but given that I'll be going back with the wind, I think I can extend the range a little bit safely. So here we are coming up to 7, starting to get some break up now, and the battery's just going below 11 volts, so I won't be able to keep this up for very long. So the picture's getting quite fuzzy. I decided not to mess around with the antenna anymore. I decide I'll make some course and altitude changes and see if I can get a better picture by flying into the beam. But I'm not having a lot of success. I've got one eye on the battery voltage, and I'm pretty keen to see that 8 kilometre mark click over so I can start heading back. I'm still hunting for that sweet spot in the antenna beam. So finally the clock ticks over past 8 kilometres, and I flick the return to home switch and decide to let the autopilot take me home. So the picture's a bit fuzzy on the turn, but still usable. But it doesn't take long to come pretty good, and I can see that I've about 7.5 kilometres to go. But it does degenerate after that and becomes a little bit hit and miss. So I start messing around with the antenna again to see if I can line it up, and it does come good. So just under 6 kilometres to go now, and the signal's pretty good again. And I decide I'll hit the run button on the antenna and see if that will keep things lined up. I get a bit of glitching, but not enough to cause the antenna to go into rotation again. So less than 5 kilometres to go. I'm pretty happy with the speed that the wind's pushing me along at, but I noticed that the battery is starting to sag a bit faster than I'd like. So we're under the 4 kilometre mark. The battery's down under 10.5 volts, which is not good. So I decided to save the battery a bit by pulling back on the throttle and shedding a bit of altitude. So at this point I'm just over a kilometre out. The battery's dropped down below 10 volts, but I think I've managed to conserve enough just to get me home. So the landing approach from the north end of the field is a bit awkward. You've got to come down a fairly steep hill and hit the strip fairly quickly. But I haven't got enough battery to muck around with a practice run, so just bring us straight in. I'm actually facing away from the strip, looking at the screen, so it's coming in behind me. But she lands as nice as pie, just a little bit short. I've got a longish walk to go and pick it up, but I've had much longer walks in the past, so I'm pretty happy. So 8 kilometres is a personal best for me, so I'm pretty pleased with that. I don't think the little tek-sumo is going to be able to get much further given the battery limitations, but if I can manage to go straight out and straight back, I might manage to get an extra 2 kilometres. It'd be nice to be able to get 10 kilometres out of it. So I think the extra altitude actually helped. I thought I would go up to 5, but it looks like I was up at 6 a lot of the way. Being able to disengage the antenna servo was a big help. Just keeping that antenna fixed made life a lot easier. And I think if I hold off putting the tek-sumo in and return to home on the way back, I'll be able to fly further east and hopefully stay out of the shadow of that mountain a bit more. Anyway, the weather looks like holding, so it won't take me long to find out.